It's Tehachapi time. Maya Acosta joined by Marlon Woodside and Deborah Howard with our Tehachapi Loop Railroad Club. Welcome, guys.
Well, thank you for having us today, Maya. To get started, I would like to just give a little background regarding our Tehachapi Loop Railroad Club. We're a nonprofit organization that started in 1993 with just local membership here, and currently we have about 30 members in our group. We're anxious and open for any new members coming on board there. While we have our focus of our group is to focus on prototype train knowledge, awareness, as well as model trains. And we do not really have a clubhouse per se, but we meet over at the Primo's restaurant in downtown Tehachapi the second Saturday of each month. We have an informal breakfast at 9 o'clock, and then we conduct our business meeting starting at 10. They typically last about an hour. So if anyone out there is really interested in helping us promote those two things, prototype railroading and model railroading, we certainly extend an invitation for them to come and attend.
Awesome. And this is for people of all ages, right?
That is true. Now, we probably should caveat that if they're under 18, they probably they definitely do, I should say, need a adult sponsorship with regards to that. Because basically, when you do get involved with our club, you have the opportunity to learn some hands-on skills like electrical, as well as scenery, designing, that type of thing. So we feel that's an open opportunity to experience a lot of arts and craft types of skills as opposed to, say, like video game simulation kind of thing. We don't necessarily focus on that, but an emphasis on camaraderie with the members.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's great to hear kind of the gist of what you guys do at the Loop Railroad Club. But some exciting news is we have the spring train show coming up, right, Deborah?
Absolutely, absolutely. April 26th and 27th will be our spring show. We have wonderful exhibitors this time. We have SoCal, which is a Z-scale. Those are those little guys, if you've ever been to our show. And then we have Antelope Valley N-scalers and High Desert Modular Model Railroad Club. You got to remember all of the acronyms there.
Yeah.
They do an HO scale. Then we have Nick Mora, who has this awesome tower that he's built for G scale. Then we have our normal members layouts that will be there. There's toy trains. There's going to, I also forgot another guest is Derek Mackey, who does Thomas the Tank Engine.
Awesome.
It's going to be an exciting show. It's going to be jam-packed this time.
So something for all ages, too. You start with Thomas the Train and then the more detailed and realistic models as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And plus we have vendors who will be selling model or railroading memorabilia, paraphernalia, as well as equipment. Then we'll have our normal bake sale.
Ooh, lovely. And this is at the Aspen Builder Center, correct?
Correct. It's up on D Street, 410 D Street. It used to be the old West Park Activity Center. People still remember it as that, but it's, Aspen Builders now.
Great.
And I want to emphasize, too, the fact that the show is free, but we do incur some costs associated with that. So Deborah mentioning the bake sale, that is our primary means by which we can cover our expenses on that. And we accept donations as well to that, but we want to make sure that people understand that it is a free event and that opportunity to bring the kids out or the adults out as well, too.
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday.
How many visitors do you usually see during the train shows?
In our past, we've averaged anywhere from 350 to 400 people for these events. So we feel like it is giving the community another opportunity to experience something different.
Yeah, and I imagine that people who attend this event maybe they're just passing by and realize, oh, hey, this is going on. I should check it out. Do you see a jump in memberships at all during or after, I should say, the train shows?
After this last one, or the one that we held last August, yes, we did. We got about 4 new members. One couple was a former members who rejoined, and then we got, I think, 3 new members from that show.
Very cool.
So, yes. And I usually work either the promotions or the bake sale table. So if you're interested, come find Deborah Howard, and I have the applications. I can tell you all about how to become a member, how much it costs. It's very reasonable, and more of what we do that might be exciting for people.
Awesome.
Well, we do try to promote the show with things like our Facebook and putting flyers out. We even listed some of those at the local motels and hotels there at the desk. But principally, I think most people will notice we have the opportunity to put a red caboose out in front of the depot in downtown Tehachapi. So that typically is where most people, when asked, "Oh, how did you find out about our show?" "Oh, the caboose directed us over there." So that is our principal marketing thing.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the caboose that gets put out in front of the depot.
Correct.
Can we talk a little bit about how the Railroad Club and Friends of the Depot, and you also mentioned offline the Heritage League,
Sure.
how do all of those organizations work together?
Well, thank you for asking that, Maya. The Heritage League is an organization, if I got my information correct, that started, I think, in July of 1996, 1976, if I correct myself there. And so their focus is on the history of the town of Tehachapi. And then this 1993 date comes in around April of 1993 is when the Railroad Club initially got started. So with those two groups combining their interests of the history of the city itself, they then eventually hooked up with the city when the city decided to purchase the depot building. And so we feel like we have a nice interaction with those three organizations there to promote the history of the town of Tehachapi.
Absolutely. And we have an exciting date. I don't know if we've really announced this to the public yet, so people listening to this episode are going to get a sneak peek, I think. But coming up in June, we have a very special anniversary that we'll be celebrating through the depot, right?
Exactly. As we were discussing the Railroad Club itself, myself, I'm the president, and we call it a superintendent, and the secretary or
Station master.
station mistress, I think is what she likes to be called, are our positions in that. And so when we get involved with the depot itself, there's a nice relationship there where they are about to, and ... a future Tehachapod, I think, is going to be in the offing there to announce the 15th anniversary of the depot. So when I put all those dates together, 1976 for the Heritage, 1993 for the Railroad Club, and then basically, what would that math be there? The 15th anniversary would be 2010, I believe, right? For the depot. I think officially the depot started, because I'm vice president of the depot there. The nonprofit status, I think, was issued in 2004, but as most people know, the depot was restored roughly and then burned down, and then it had to go through a rebuilding process, thanks to the support of the city as well with regards to that. But so we, in the depot, or Friends of the Tehachapi Depot is the official group name, look at 2010 as our, June 5th of 2010 as our official date of celebrating what we have today there at the depot.
And kind of what we're getting at. I know we're bopping kind of all over with the different, organizations and efforts that go to support the railroad history here in Tehachapi. But I mean, that is what this town really was founded on, is, being a railroad town.
Well, to connect that together there, as I mentioned earlier there, the Railroad Club does have not just model trains, but we do have activities like going on tours and relating stories, our members that are associated with the railroad itself. And so tying that history in with the focus of the depot is to express the history of the railroad as it relates to the city of Tehachapi. And so we, in the depot, do have quarterly meetings there. And our most recent one, we were fortunate enough to have Mr. Ralph Lopez, who is the Union Pacific operations manager from Bakersfield all the way to Colton, then in San Bernardino. And he is embarking upon a path to make Tehachapi a train town USA. So we're really excited about that, because that will kind of be the icing on the cake, if you will, of our celebratory 15th anniversary cake. coming up on the 7th of June. 5 June is the official date, and I think there's going to be some official proclamations and that type of thing going on that date. More details to follow with the aforementioned Tehachapi regarding the FOTD celebration. But then also, I think for the community, it's going to be an outreach on the 7th of June, that Saturday, that on the grounds of the depot, we'll invite the Railroad Club. We'll have a table there. The Heritage League will have a table there, not only passing on information about those two organizations, but then also offering Railroadiana or memorabilia available to the public.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm curious, so as far as the members of the Railroad Club, the way that you speak about it, I'm assuming that some of these members are folks who maybe worked for UP or different parts of the railroad throughout their career and lifetime. Is that what you tend to see?
Well, we have that experience with the Friends of the Tehachapi Depot, for example, some of our docents there, but I can't think of any current members that are really former railroad employees. Can you, Deborah?
I can think of a current member of the railroad.
Okay, all right. And she has a personal connection.
Okay, there we go.
My son is actually a railroad engineer and conductor and a maintainer for the ACE train up in Stockton to San Jose. So we do have some railroad connections still of people who are still active.
Awesome.
Well, and that's a great example, too, of mentioning earlier there about the age associated with that. Deborah and Chris Howard, her son, did join the club when he was just a wee lad, right? Putting cows on the track and all kinds of things like that.
Yes.
But he certainly, I won't say was lucky because he worked hard to mature, of course, in terms of his experience with model trains as well as prototype railroads. But then to go up to Sacramento and really work his way up through the rank.
I mean, he wanted to be an engineer since he was 5 years old.
Wow.
And model railroading gave him that opportunity by joining Tehachapi Loop Railroad Club to learn how to do wiring, how to do soldering, how to do the detailing, how to operate, how to run with a club, because they run prototypical. You have to make sure you don't run into other people's trains. He just learned through the club. We joined when he was 12. We were sponsored by a member already in the club, and he just had a love for trains since he was 5 years old.
What's spectacular. And we were talking before we started recording, there are so many amazing resources here in town, whether it be the Loop Railroad Club or programs like Build a Plane that are offering the youth these great resources and learning opportunities to do some real hands-on learning and, experimenting, playing, whatever it is, with these industries that could turn into real successful and fulfilling careers for them. So the Loop Railroad Club is just another one of those that we are very happy to have here in the community.
Well, we're fortunate to have the community support there as well. As I mentioned, the 350 to 400 people, and again, an opportunity to get out and basically for these young people to put the video games aside and do something with your hands and do something creative and have tangible results.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so to recap, the spring train show is coming up on April 26th and 27th. We'd mention again offline that the 26th date coincides with the Chambers Wind Festival, right?
Correct. So we're hoping that certainly people will take advantage of that because the Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Park District Manager Corey Torres and Taylor Davis, the General Service Manager, have the slogan, I should say, of in charge of fun. So that last year, I think, was their first opportunity to have that wind festival, and it was a stellar success. So we hope that event being in the afternoon, that they would stop by the Aspen Activity Center that morning from 10 to 1 p.m. and then transition over to the Wind Festival because we feel like both events being free certainly is an excellent opportunity for you to say, well, what is there to do in Tehachapi? Go to the train show, go to the Wind Festival, and come back to the train show on Sunday.
Yeah.
And buy more baked goods, right?
And buy more.
There you go. And what a great also overview of two of our big industries, if you will, or cornerstones of Tehachapi, wind and trains.
And the trains, exactly.
Great representation of all that we have going on here and what keeps us going. So that'll be an exciting weekend, April 26th and 27th. So the 26th will run from 10 to 5 and the 27th from 10 to 3 there
Correct.
at the ABAC gym. We are looking forward to it. Is there a good place for folks to go, Facebook or online, to recap the information to learn
I'll
more?
let our station mistress talk to our Facebook site.
And I was going to circle back to that because Marlon had mentioned that we do have a Facebook page. Absolutely, follow us on Facebook. If you're interested, send me a message. I'm one of the administrators. I do follow the page to make sure if people have questions, I can get them answered. If you want to join our club, that would be, let me know. I'll email you an application. I'll give you all the information you need. But that's where we'll also be posting our upcoming events. We have the April 26th and 27th. We typically have 3 shows a year. We're still firming up the dates for our second and third show for this year. But as has happened, we do post them on Facebook.
Awesome. Okay. Great resource there.
And I also want to extend a thank you to the Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Park District, Corey and Taylor, and that they have really gone out of their way to squeeze us in, so to speak, because the gymnasium that we do host these events in obviously is a basketball, volleyball type of venue. So for the listeners out there, if anyone does have access to or can steer us in the direction to find a possible facility that 5,000 square feet or more, I don't know that anyone has that in their backyard per se, but if you are in charge of something like that, again, Deborah Howard and myself, Marlon Woodside, would love to hear from you and try to work some other opportunity for a free event in the future associated with that.
Awesome. Okay, good stuff. So again, all of the information, if you have questions or want to learn more about the train show or the club in general, Facebook is the best place to go. Guys, thanks so much for coming in. Is there anything that I missed that we want to touch on?
I believe we've covered it all.
I think we've got it all.
Sure appreciate the city and you, Maya, and the Tehachapi network, if that's what we call it, the network. Okay, you folks do an excellent job in getting the message out there for all things going on in Tehachapi.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure to help, amplify what's going on and spread the word. We are more than happy to do so. So again, spring train show coming up April 26th and 27th. We hope to see everybody out there.
And it's free.
And it is free.
Thank you so much.
We love free events, of course. All right. Yes, thanks again. And to anybody listening, if you have a question or comment, again, check out the Railroad Club's Facebook, or you can email us, media@TehachapiCityHall.com, and we can get that addressed to the right place. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we hope to catch you back here next time on Tehachapi.